Hello and welcome everyone to today's 20th anniversary stream. This time we're here for Gwent. It's the Gwent edition and I'm joined by our game director, Vlad. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Hi everyone. It's great to be here for such great occasion.
Oh yes, we're going to have a lot of fun, and because we're going to be sitting here and talking all about Gwent, we've actually got a special someone behind the camera as well, piloting our favorite decks and cards. So yeah, thank you Jean for joining us and being our game master today. I'll just wave to him. So yeah, Vlad, we're here to celebrate 20 years of CDPR, and obviously Gwent has played a big role for us, especially for us too. And
if you think about it, right, we're celebrating 20th anniversary of CDPR, and out of this 20 years, Gwent is like this last 5 years of the company history, so definitely quite a significant period of time.
Most definitely. I mean, we've been basically as long as The Witcher 3 has been around, we've been around, right?
Pretty much, yeah. That's where it all began, right?
Exactly.
Like maybe we will, talk about the mini game and how it went from there to what we have now, also.
Yeah, I think that might be a good place to start because, 6 years ago, no, it's now 7 years ago. 7 years ago, people sat down and developed a small mini game, maybe not so small, but a nice card game inside of The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, which was called Gwent. Gwent in Polish, right?
Yeah.
And people seem to enjoy Gwent quite a lot, even though it was a single-player experience playing against AI and everything. But it was just the gameplay mechanic was fun. The idea of winning 2 rounds out of 3 was a lot of fun for players to engage with. And there's been a multitude of memes on the internet around Geralt ditching his main quest and just playing cards.
It was a very memey addition to the game, to The Witcher. And also, if you'll compare Gwent to the previous experiments, the previous mini games in the Witcher series, definitely Gwent was the most advanced one, because it was not only about playing the game, but also the collection element, which is, me as a CCG appreciator, definitely sounds very familiar when you really want to go after a certain card. You're prepared to go any lengths to beat any opponents to really get this super rare addition to your deck, and I think this feeling was captured really well in The Witcher 3.
That's true, and it always made me chuckle when then someone that's been really down on their luck and really needs your help to, maybe defeat the beasts that are attacking the town that they live in, and then you, as Geralt, just say like, but do you have time for a round of Gwent maybe? So
nods. Yeah,
I think we all enjoyed that. So out of that, the idea was born to develop a multiplayer version of Gwent. And so even more developers sat down and created something very special. And I think back in the day, Gwent looked a bit different than it does today because we had to evolve. Everything has to get updated once in a while.
Right.
And I think we found a way to make it playable on mobile phones as well, which engaged a lot more people into the Gwent world. But what do you think? Where did the whole thing actually take off in the start?
Yeah, well, first stage was obviously the players' reaction. As you said, the mini game in The Witcher 3 turned out to be really popular with players. CDPR received a lot of fan mail asking, okay, we want this standalone, we want this in multiplayer, we want to play against friends, because, well, the mini game was like strictly PvE experience, right, in the game terms. So that's how the project originated. And what you said is also true, that I think the game looked back then in the closed beta, so very different from what it looks now, and it went through quite a lot of iterations before we kind of arrived at the current formula of how modern Gwent looks and feels. We lost a row, so instead of 3, we were now with 2 rows, but arguably, we also gained quite a lot of depth comparing to these early days where really wacky stuff was possible when it comes to power level of cards and combos that you can do. So yeah, and in this regard, definitely went a long way.
Yeah, and I think right from the start, people were loving the strategic aspect and the amount of choice they had to play the game, because in Gwent, obviously, you start with a full hand, so 10 cards that you can immediately decide on which card do I want to play first, and you don't have to first draw a card every turn. So there was a very competitive scene surrounding the game as well. So I think CDPR decided to support that and started an esports scene.
Yep.
And there was a lot of hype around it, and people were playing at the top of their game, and I always enjoy watching people play so well and so precise and thinking 10 turns ahead as well, while I'm sitting there trying to figure out, all right, what card do I play now? But yeah, I think you actually personally started off in that aspect of the game as well, right?
Truth to be told, some tournaments, official and unofficial ones, were already running by the point I joined the company. But yes, there was a conscious decision on CDPR side that we want officially to support, to give more attention to this fledgling competitive scene. That's how I came on board as an esports manager initially, and I helped with organizing this really memorable events in very interesting locations, also to fully embrace the Gwent and Witcher flavor. Like, you know, medieval castles and underground salt mines and Vikings villages.
Oh, yes.
So that was really special journey on its own. And yeah, you're absolutely right. I think the competitive Gwent is when the game becomes really, you know, it really shines in terms of like how competitive players are seeing things, you know, us mere mortals are not able to comprehend, and this is a completely different level of play. Speaking of which, what do you think about, you know, jumping to the game to see how it looks like? Yeah,
I'm ready for that. I've got two more things that people out there should know right now. And the first one is that you will actually be able to get a very nice Rarok avatar just by watching 15 minutes. So 15 minutes of your time enjoying us chatting about Gwent and watching some fabulous gameplay by Jean behind the scenes. So yeah, you will get that. You can actually see in the top right corner, if you're watching on Twitch, the little notification on that. So I hope you've connected your Twitch accounts to your Gwent accounts, your GOG accounts, and then you'll be able to rock that 20th anniversary Rarok avatar in Gwent. And the second announcement, you all should probably start typing away in the chat, because we've got a dedicated team that reads the chat today and that will filter it for some questions, and then I, sitting here in this lovely chair, will be able to read the questions, and then after maybe a game or two, then we can also discuss your questions out there. If you've got any questions about the history of Gwent, about the current state of Gwent, about why Jean decided to go for the border and avatar combo that he did. So yeah, there's lots to be asked, and at the end, I think we've got a small little surprise for you as well. So why don't you stick around, grab a cup of coffee, tea, beverage of your choice.
Mahakam ale, yeah,
and enjoy a round of Gwent. So I think we're ready to jump into the first one. Jean's already searching for an opponent, as we can see here, and he's rocking the standard.
Only worthy rivals in this game.
True.
I really like this small details, and also, you know, one of my favorite things about Gwent, which immediately attracted my attention back in the day when I just discovered it, is that when you're already finished playing your game, the GG button, right? This is a really nice touch. So for those who don't know, the GG button basically allows you to send GG message to your opponent if you enjoyed your game, and your opponent will get some resources, which then can be used to craft the cards or to do something within the game. And I remember first time seeing it, I thought, wow, this is really smart, and it actually promotes this good manners behavior, which is so important in the live games, so important in online games. So years passed and this button is still in its place. And I know, sometimes people can get really salty. There are some Reddit threads in which case it's ethical or not ethical to give GG, right?
Yeah.
I will never GG this certain deck because it's just toxic or something like that. But nevertheless, it's actually really cool to have this
each other.
Have this feature in the game.
That's true. I think I usually just go ahead and GG everyone. It's just like a no-brainer for me, even though I might
sharing
be
is
annoying,
caring.
but it's like I don't lose anything for doing it, and they gain something. So, why shouldn't I? Why shouldn't I? I actually have one question already before we jump into the game, because the first question that we got was, Vlad, are you really a vampire? Because just to make it a bit clearer, I think you're not a vampire on Twitter, is that correct?
Right.
So, are you?
Well, it would be a shame, to spoil all the fun for people to discover. But actually, do you know where this phrase is coming from?
I don't.
Okay, so this the phrase about not being a vampire while being having a name Vlad comes from the game called Magicka. There is a very charismatic character in this game, the name of Vlad, who is definitely not a vampire, and there is a lot of kind of jokes around this particular topic. So this is where it comes from. So it's the inspiration.
Is that the Impaler? Vlad the Impaler? Is that
I don't know.
Right, but John did find a match. He did find a worthy opponent. It took him a while because obviously it's hard to find a worthy opponent for Jean.
Such a high skilled player.
Exactly.
Yes.
He's gonna hate us, by the way, if we keep talking him up.
It must be a bit of a pressure to play, live on stream for that many years. But I'm sure Ron will do fine.
He's got it.
What possibly can go wrong?
Exactly.
Especially in the training versus player mode, which is is famous for being great in terms of the accurate matchmaking.
Yep.
Oh, and it seems like we have a male player against us. That's an exciting start. What do you think about Mill as a strategy, Ryan?
I think it's a really interesting strategy because I actually like playing against it because I feel like I know what they want to do, and it suddenly changes what I want to do in my game. But it's not like, guess I just lose. It's more like, okay, how do I most effectively play around my opponent trying to destroy my deck before I get to it? So maybe usually I'm playing some decks like, I don't know, Skellige Pirates, for example, where you just have a lot of pressure in the first round and I want to win the first round and then just 2-0, 2-0 straight away. Don't even give them a chance for another draw in round 3. But I understand that it might be frustrating sometimes to play against it. I think in general playing against Control and these kind of matchups sometimes hurts as a card gamer. But no, I kind of like it existing, maybe not at the top level of competition.
Well, I don't think anyone would want the competitive Mill, to be honest, apart maybe from a very small... Oh,
look at that.
So, nicely done, really nicely done. I think the...
Alternative win con.
Maybe the opponent just realized, the wrongness of his way, or the way, and just decided, okay, not today, devil, not today.
Well, Jean got his first victory on the board.
That's a nice start.
Yeah, he had a very solid line of play there at the start, intimidating the opponent. So we'll see who is up next. And maybe he'll find a worthy rival. In the meantime, I've actually got another question coming up by Mlakus, one of our moderators as well, I believe from Reddit. And he asks about draft. Do we have any news about draft mode?
Well, with draft, what we would like to do is, obviously it's a bit outdated at this point. We didn't add all the newest card additions to the mode yet, and there are also a few problematic, like outdated interactions in terms of the packages. So we are well aware of the issues with this mode. We don't want to, put it in a freezer and abandon it, but fixing or addressing these issues proved to be very complicated, actually, in terms of like how it's structured from the internal operation perspective. That's why instead of spending some serious amount of time on constantly updating it, and that would inevitably lead us to, spending less time in other areas where the attention is much needed. We decided that it's actually worth to invest more into reworking some of the core concepts of it, and more importantly the tools which are used to keep it updated. So in this perspective, I can only ask for a little bit more patience when it comes to drafts. We remember about it. We do not want to completely abandon it, but it proved to be a bit more challenging and time-consuming task for us to address.
Yeah.
But if I may add also, like having a limited mode, right? Like the mode within the game which provides a different experience comparing to constructed decks is very interesting, and I think very healthy for the variety if it's done right. Not everything went according to the plan with the current iteration of draft, so definitely there is a big interest on our side to have this kind of side of the game covered eventually.
Yeah, we haven't forgot about it, and we are working on it behind the scenes, as Vlad said. So I think what shows that we are trying to always stay up to date with our game modes is that our seasonal modes have been adapted, have been changed.
Recently,
exactly. First of all, we went down to a shorter time format, so there's more diversion in there, diversity. But also now we started to experiment a bit more and go for some fresh versions of those game modes.
Yes. Right? What we do with seasonals these days is that we actually adding new seasonal modes while also taking care of the modes which are no longer relevant for various reasons. Maybe in some cases it's also too complicated trying to fix it. Yeah. Sometimes it's better just to remove the mode which is, was solved by players a long time ago or simply not working in the current meta.
So yeah, spoiler alert, but this week's version or edition of +1, the famous Dagon game mode.
Infamous, yeah.
It is actually going to be the last time that you will be able to play it. So if you
enjoy it, this is your last moment. If you hate it, your prayers were answered, and it's going to be removed from the game for the time being.
Yeah, and we've got another new version coming later this month as well. Order of in All Things, I think it's called, right?
Yeah.
Where your deck is sorted by its provision, which is going to be interesting because you can be sure that you're going to find those high-end provisions, and those 4 provision bronzes, you won't be drawing into them.
Yep.
Yeah, all right. So we can see that Jean is in the middle of poisoning his opponents. Morale, actually a very nice card as well.
There are some poisons on both sides of the board, from what I can tell.
It's a harmony mirror.
Yeah.
I just see,
Very harmonious indeed.
Very harmonious, just like the Gwent player base. Oh, and there we see the reworked Willow. Nice. And the Chameleon. I really enjoy the new Chameleon, I must say. Yeah, lots of nice touches given to
Chameleon is one of my favorite premiums, and with animations in the last card drop, in the last expansion for sure.
Yeah, and we can see that they've also got, or we can hear it, that the latest edition of cards now have their premium sound effect added as well.
Yeah, finally.
So that is very nice.
Thanks everyone for being patient with us on this. Yeah, right now it feels good to bring it back where it belongs.
I've actually got another question from the chat, and it's by Lauren Breaker. Will there be some support for devotion in Gwent? So before you go ahead and answer that.
More support for devotion, right?
I think there was a good discussion by Jean with the community as well, going over our thoughts on devotion and the devotion mechanic and why it is good in some areas, but also
You mean the article, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, I think devotion is a tool, right? It's kind of interesting question if it's archetype on itself, or it's more of a designer's tool in the toolbox to balance the game and help different archetypes. So maybe there are different views on that. I believe that there are certain moments where devotion decks are just being elevated in the meta, and they're just thriving and feeling better overall. And there are also moments where they're coming out of fashion, maybe because of the strong neutrals being introduced, which is proved to be a bit problematic this year. I'm not going to lie. So we definitely making notes about the problems which might happen if the neutral card we introduce to the game is definitely behind, not behind, above the curve. So in this regard, I can tell you already, I think maybe it was already mentioned by Jean on the last dev video, that we are not planning to go hard on adding more and more neutrals to the game, especially with high power level. So in this regard, you can treat this as a devotion support, because if we're more focused on the faction identities and cards which are belonging to one faction or another, it will be boosting the devotion archetype as well.
I think players might be saying as well, like, why didn't CDPR learn about their previous neutral card that was so good and then went on to print Rentry? But I think people working with any kind of bigger scale product know that it takes time to plan these things, and we've had this scheduled,
planned way ahead.
Exactly, right. But obviously still our game designers and people working on these cards, they learn from what they do, and there's always a review process afterwards as well. And as you said, there's not going to be any crazy neutral cards coming, at least soon.
So we'll be careful. Releasing those. Yes. I like crazy cards in the sense that when the new card is being released and it's wow, not because wow, oh my god, it's broken.
It's 50 points.
What did they smoke, right? It's more about like, oh wow, this is so clever or so original or so out of this world. That's what we're usually aiming for. And when you have ambitions like that or targets like that, it's not always easy to fit into this very narrow space of it's super cool and interesting, but it's not oppressive or it's not overpowered.
Exactly. All right, I think on that topic, that's actually very interesting. A question by Exoskeleton.
Exoskeleton, okay.
Are there any cards you regret creating?
Well, I guess, when the question is asked this way, it will be more of a question to designers, because I do not create cards personally, right? I can only, regret that someone else created the card. Let me think about it for a moment, because I don't think there is a single card in the whole Gwent which I dislike so much that I would like to see it's gone. I believe that. Well, I remember. Okay, I can give you maybe one example. It's not exactly about the regret. I remember when this card was released, I was kind of opposed to it being added to Gwent. And it's what's interesting, it's still unchanged over all these years. It's original Gascon, right? So the one which just have this random power at start, right? So with Homecoming and with Stormbreaker, we added a bunch of new cards, and also Create as a mechanic was also added to the game slightly before that. I remember it was a very controversial time, like in the period of Gwent, where people were questioning like what's the kind of the general direction the game is taking, etc. So I remember was quite a lot of kind of a criticism around also Gascon to some degree, because like this is clearly a random effect, right? So maybe because the card is not really competitive, it's like too unreliable to be played. It's not getting any attention these days, but personally, I think that such a great character as Gascon deserves something more interesting. Maybe one day we will, get to it, and he will be a little bit more interesting in this regard.
I think that's a good answer. Yeah, I think that's a very good answer, and I agree that Gascon lives in our hearts, and I think very, very popular character
For
lots of players.
Thronebreaker, players, clearly there's some special feelings towards Gascon, bad or good, but he leaves the memory.
Exactly. I think for me it wouldn't be the creation of a card itself, but more the existence of Bomb Heaver back in the day, because
Right.
the watch your head has been heard many times, and especially seeing these beautiful scenarios on the board right now here, I think that
would be a shame if something bad would happen to them.
Exactly. Like a Bomb Heaver, Heatwave. No, Heatwave is a bit. I think it's fine because it obviously is a trade of very expensive cards, and you get some
makes
value
you to
out
commit.
of playing it.
Yeah,
exactly. But the Bomb Heaver one was it was rough.
Yeah.
But you learn, you move on, and you progress.
Well, that's the beauty of it. I think when it comes to Gwent and ever-changing meta, the thing is that players might be unhappy about the cards in a given moment of time, but what I hope, proved time and time again that we listen and we are willing to go back and rework stuff, tweak stuff, change cards which are problematic, change the whole archetypes if needed, rework tribals or archetypes or literal abilities. So there isn't basically no limit of how far we were willing to go in order to make the game better. And it doesn't go anywhere, right? Like, we're still committed to do that going further. So I do hope that at least some part of the community appreciates that.
We've got some well wishes by Vorpin. It's just Vlad and Brian. No question, just wishing you all the best for this glorious stream and this glorious day. So thank you very much for everyone watching and supporting us. I think we had a nice community celebration on Saturday as well, which was incredible. Just meeting so many people, and we got a draw. We got a draw.
We got the achievement unlocked. How cool is that?
Wow, 127 points on both sides.
Perfectly balanced, what can I say?
I think it was a, what did they say? An actual worthy opponent.
Yes, very worthy.
But yeah, going back, thank you so much for joining us on this journey. I think it is just so much fuel to our passion for the game and to our work, because this is, after all, also our work, but it makes it feel so easy and so driving. At least for me personally, I think it's what drives me to do this job and to engage with more people in the world. I've got another question for you.
Yes.
Do we plan to release new journeys in the future? And there was actually another question by Elven Princess. Will we get more Rara cosmetics in the future, like a journey, for example?
Like the one avatar which we're giving away during this stream.
Exactly.
Okay, I don't know much about Rarok cosmetics. I don't think we have anything planned for the near future, but then the question is, who knows? Right?
Who knows?
Well, we can have many ways to get more Raroks into the game. When it comes to new journey, we do have some ideas. What we're lacking is, any kind of a concrete plans on like when those would be possible to add to the game or to implement. But I can tell you as much as that our artist, our art team, they already did some early explorations of the idea. Those are looking super cool.
That's true.
Everyone who works also in the development knows that there is a very long road between sketching stuff and doing such R&D and actually implementing. So yeah, I am not able to give you any data here or any kind of intel on when and what. But we want to, if possible, if that will be possible, we want to have more original journeys. That would be cool.
Yes, and speaking of journeys and looking awesome, I think our opponent is rocking an awesome skin.
Oh yeah.
And that card back is just beautiful.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, are they also trying to mill us here? Or is it just a nice little tech to maybe destroy a powerful card?
Interesting question.
We'll see. It's not a full-on commit yet to the mill, so we'll see. And Jean decided to rock the Gracious Knights. So I'm interested to see who will prevail, who will be victorious after that. All right, we've got another question. Is there a chance that old mechanics like bandits would be reworked by And the Bear?
So I don't know if you noticed already, but bandits are somehow getting a little bit more prominence in the current meta. And the only thing it took is for designers to go back and assign, like this secondary categories to many Scoia'tael, and not only Scoia'tael, but I think mostly cards. So all of a sudden, this might look like a small thing to do because we didn't actually change any cards in particular when it comes to gameplay, but this alone was already enough to bring some attention. So, bandits enthusiasts immediately started brewing, and they started to experimenting with deck ideas. So that's actually very cool to see. I think in the upcoming updates in the foreseeable future, we might spend some time looking at the bandits archetype as a whole. I don't know about turning it into the completely kind of a neutral archetype. There are some reservations against that, but it would be cool if there would be kind of a distinctive tribal theme for bandits as well.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Going back to the cosmetics, by the way, do you have a plan to allow players to maybe define a default set of cosmetics that they can use on the new presets, basically?
We have it somewhere in our backlog, so you can say that we do have such plans. Once again, not sure what the timing could be, but this idea was shared or requested by the community a long time ago, so it's definitely on our radar as something that's interesting for people and for us as well.
Yeah, I'm sure that I've heard Ola say that actually pretty recently as well, that they would love to have it implemented into the game. It's all about priorities when you're developing
as always.
such a game. But we're definitely aware, and I think we all would like to see that in the game as well. So
true. Good question.
We've actually got another question coming in from Durant27, and they're asking, will we see more use of the adrenaline tag as a way to control card power? Will we see any more adrenaline cards?
Could be, right? We were not shutting down on using of any of the old mechanics. Although there is always a consideration, does it make sense with any particular either new card drop or a rework? So the fact that a keyword or mechanic existing in the game is not enough to justify that it's definitely needs to be used extensively, because sometimes the keywords and abilities are also our way to draw the boundaries between factions and their identities. We don't want them to blur too much. So maybe adrenaline is a great way to balance the power of the card, but I don't know if you would agree that having every second card having adrenaline would be very disruptive to your kind of impression of Gwent, what Gwent is, right? So, sure, just in the small numbers, and then based on the deliberate decisions, it is possible.
All right. On a lighter note, are you team Triss, Ian, Shani, or Uma?
There is such team as well.
I've heard that there's a team Uma, also asking for an Uma journey. I think I created a mock-up once.
So that's what this team is about, okay, for Uma journey. Well, I mean, I'm team Yen, because for me The Witcher 3 is all about role-playing. That's why when I was playing Witcher 3, I was very serious about not breaking my image of Geralt with any silliness or any shenanigans. So for example, I never robbed houses, because why Geralt would do that, right? You're not just going into anybody's house and starting to look for. That's true? Did you also do it, or you just agree with me being
No, I
noble?
agree with you, but I also agree that it's insanely funny to be requested of like by a very small family that don't have much, and they say thank you so much for saving our lives.
And then they have a golden ring in the chest. Yeah,
this is all we have, and then you're like, no, keep the money, and then you go around and just empty everything they have.
So, following the same logic, well, for everyone who played Witcher 3, I think it's, and also read the books and kind of following the lore, it's obvious that despite maybe not being the most easygoing person in the world, let me put it this way, Yen is is Geralt Destiny. You may like it or not. This is just facts.
That is just facts.
Yeah,
you've heard it here.
Yeah,
I'll just confirm it. All right. Actually, I'm very interested to see how this game is going to turn out, because Jean is pushing round 2 like a mad person right here, and he forces out the scenario
played by
his opponent, which is very big. Oh, was the leader that grabbed that scenario from himself, actually. But still, he is 1 point ahead, so he could just pass here and actually move on to round 3, having the leader ability advantage.
Well, is it a hint or?
I mean, I'm just.
Imagine if during the esports events that we used to have in this studio, the casters would be. If players would be able to hear the casters, he would be like, this is a good idea to pass now.
Yes. I'm not sure if that's always the right idea, though, to listen to casters and people commentating, because...
I can confirm our casters were wrong more than once on different occasions, but so is our team that is usually working on these events. When we are during the tournaments, we were trying to figure out, okay, so this guy clearly going to win this. No, and a couple of minutes later,
the sentiment swings.
Yeah, definitely the other one. Like, it's clear, right? And it could be very swingy this way.
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't want to bash our casters. I think they're doing a fantastic job, and it's very difficult to keep track of everything that's going on the board.
Well, since we introduced the
observer mode,
the observer mode, but also I think back in the era of Mogwai and Beard and closed beta, remember counting knackers was a kind of a very hard test. Like if you can be a good caster or not, because without trackers, without the chance to check the graveyard, even I think there was. It required fantastic memory. So fortunately these days it's much easier, especially in the spectator mode. But fun times.
So in the final round now, Jean is up 2 cards, having a ball of a time right here.
Literal abilities.
But he might be able to just throw it away by playing a card in the melee row.
Well,
it's supposed to go into the back row. Unless...
all according to the plan,
unless he's got some hidden plans that I haven't figured out yet.
Don't question his logic.
Don't question brilliance.
He knows what he's doing.
Oh yeah, he definitely knows what he's doing here. Just getting locked by that margarita.
So good to see that despite the nerf, the good boy is still being used so evidently by the opponent.
Yeah, I think that nerf was deserved. Still a good card. Still a good card. Oh, what's it gonna be? What's it gonna be, Jean? Is that... Oh, there's Renfrey.
Oh, that's...
still alive after the nerf.
One way to kinda...
I wonder what they grabbed. Oh, that's a lot of damage. That is a lot of points.
Well, I believe
20
there
points?
was something
22 points, Jean?
to do with that still, with 2 cards it's not impossible.
It's not impossible, but those cards look mighty bronze.
There's still literal ability.
There is. Oh, it's gonna be a close one. It's gonna be a close one.
And
the leader ability clutches victory.
Calculated, man.
Ooh.
Never doubt the designer. That's the rule I follow, and most of the 50% of the time it works all the time. So
50.
yeah, good job,
GG.
really. Nicely done.
GG.
I like how close these games in the versus player training
right?
are. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think we can grab another question from the chat here.
Let's do it.
We've got one asking, how long do you test cards before releasing them? That's a very interesting question, because I feel like the general public probably has rather little visibility on the actual development process of cards, and obviously it starts a while back before the cards are released, with designers and our team sitting down together, creating a draft for what the release should be all about, the theme of the cards, and the ability and the art obviously have to go hand in hand, where you can't really have this bear here, for example, that then just, I don't know, is an artifact that heals someone by one. That would be kind of
example.
Weird, so.
Right, so there's no kind of, golden standard there when it comes to we always have the same amount of time for like every occasion. In reality, actually a different time period depending on the scope of the new release as well. So we tend to leave more time whenever possible to test bigger or more impactful updates and drops, like for example, definitely expansions, new mechanics, a lot of reworks. Like usually these things require more tests, and it's also important to note that like what exactly is a test, right? Like as you said, when the cards are being designed already, like some, let's call it theory crafting, or brainstorming on the designer's part is happening. So even before the ability is locked, there is already like a lot of, well, you could call it testing, I guess, happening behind the scenes. Once it's finally implemented in the build and we can play some games with it, that's where the active stage of the testing starts, in which not only designers can play, but also we can invite some trusted members of the community, other CDPR or Gwent employees to the mix, and this process can last based on how much time we have for, in some cases for a few weeks, but sometimes we have less. So yeah, the answer is that it can be different.
Yeah, so it really depends.
Well, maybe, I kind of sense that maybe it's a little bit of a trick question, because the truth is, like, no matter how much time we have or how thorough we are with this testing, it's always the reality that always the community with the really huge number of players that are playing Gwent, they will have an upper hand when it comes to discovering all possible problems with it, all possible interactions. Some things are just, wrong expectations on our end regarding the, how, let's say, popular a certain card will be. Is it going to be used everywhere or the other way around? So a lot of these things are just assumptions on our end, which are impossible to verify in this limited time and with this limited number of people participating. As
you said, I think the data created by just one day of it being out in the public is just so much more. Unfortunately, this is the hard truth that yes, like whenever the card or new, I don't know, ability, whatever, is on live. Like as you said, like a couple of days of just observing it gives us already more than maybe like a few days of testing would, which is sometimes, I understand, might create problems, especially from players' perspective. But once again, we are committed to this monthly updates, and I believe that this is a strong side of our team and our approach to the development, that nothing is permanent when it comes to problems as well. Right? All right, we've got one question by someone new to the Witcher universe, Mr.
Welcome.
Macaroni. Nice name as well, very nice name. Hello everyone, I'm new to the Witcher universe. I have a question about the game board itself. In The Witcher, the player has 3 rows in which he can place his cards, and in Gwent only 2. Why is that the case, Vlad?
That's a great question. So when the original version of Gwent in the closed beta was released, it followed many concepts from the minigame, right? So the idea was to try to be, as faithful as possible to the source where it all began. But unfortunately, with time, we realized that it puts quite significant limits to the direction we would like to take the game with its availability on multiple platforms. I think, as far as PC is concerned, maybe, free rows still would be something possible to support, although it would be a very different game in terms of the gameplay, in terms of like the gameplay implications. However, it's almost impossible, and believe me, we tried to imagine free rows being playable, readable on a phone screen, even on a tablet screen. So pretty much everything which is smaller than your standard monitor size would be extremely problematic.
Yes.
And maybe it's less important from the usability perspective, but very important from the presentation perspective. The size of the cards itself in the closed beta, and I think to some degree in the mini game in The Witcher 3, due to having free rows, which is essentially 6 rows in total, was very small, right? Yeah. So one of the biggest advantages that Gwent has as a competitive product on the market is a gorgeous art style and all this nice animations, all these nice static illustrations which are featured on cards. It was barely visible, right? You need to click on an individual card to see the full preview, so it was a bit clunky. So 2 rows are, I would say, a reasonable compromise on our part, which I believe we made work without losing anything of substance or any kind of a major impact in the negative side of things for the game being deep and interesting.
Yeah, and I think on top of that, as you said, there's just a limited amount of space on the screen, and having your hand, your card hand, and your opponent's hand, I think especially in the esports scene, like when you have tournaments and you have to see both player hands and have immediately visual cues of when you look at the screen, oh, this is the board state, this is the card that's on the board, and you don't really want to wait for the casters to say the cards, you want to be able to see them yourself. So I think that helps a lot, having less.
Sometimes, it's maybe kind of overused argument, but sometimes less is more. And I think even some of our competitors' examples are proving the fact that when you are really going too wide, like having multiple battlefields per session, right, or having something like that, it might be a brilliant idea in theory, but sometimes the implementation is what gets in the way, and it's not always user friendly.
Yeah. And I think Jean is also thinking right now less is more, because he's currently sitting here with less points than his opponent.
Oh, maybe it's a bluff strategy,
Yeah,
it's
you never know.
Totally valid in Gwent.
And that's a good thing in Gwent. You only need to win 2 out of 3 rounds.
Yes.
So yeah, right now he's making his opponent, commit good cards on the board, and then. Oh, we've got
I would say even differently. You only need to win 1 round if you only care about progressing in your journey. So you can get like realistic goals in front of you all the time.
Yep, but I think it's also, I've played against that syndicate list, and those poison engines, they're scare you, and that Siri on the board as well, creating carryover for the next round. So many coins still.
But I mean, we have a carryover of our own there.
We do. And that's, I think, going to be very important to keep alive. Let's see what Jean commits here. Oh, he's hovering it. He is thinking about it.
Yeah.
He is thinking about it. There he goes. That's a nice boost. And then he's going to go ahead and destroy the poison mover in the front row. Ahead by 3 points now. Opponent is not letting go of the pressure though. It's going to be a tight one.
As the previous games.
Yeah, most definitely. Then again, opponent has already used their lead ability, so Jean might have an upper hand on that side. Yeah. Obviously, the passive is still ongoing of the Horde. Let's see. While we watch this game unfold, we've actually got a great question by Amsterdam Oyerfeldi. I wonder if that's the original Oyerfeldi or if it's a special edition that you can only get at TwitchCon Amsterdam. What is your favorite moment in Gwent history? Very simple question.
My favorite moment in Gwent history. I don't know. I feel like my favorite moment will be, too selfish, because it was, reaching pro rank for the first time. That was kind of like individual achievement, doesn't have to do anything with, the history of the game, and
That's fair.
definitely not important. But I remember it was like, okay, I made it. That was a great feeling. But if we need to talk about, something less personal and maybe, something important for Gwent, I would say maybe Android launch. That was the moment where this was basically the last platform. Well, technically Steam was a little bit after that. I think Android was like in March 2020 and Steam was like in May or something like that. But that was a really successful and big launch, and I remember being quite proud of what the team achieved with that, all the hard work that you can see finally, paying off and all that. It was a high moment.
Yeah, and I think just getting more people to enjoy the game was incredibly valuable. Increasing the audience and the community, and I think for me personally, it's just meeting community members face to face as well is, I think, always my highlight. Probably the worst moment was when I tried to reach pro rank back in the day, when it was like, I think it was just before homecoming, when there were the dwarves were so good. I was still at university, and I basically streamed the whole night, the whole evening, just to get, maybe it wasn't pro rank, but top 500 or something for the nice avatar that you could get back in the day. And I really wanted to get that top 500 spot. And I remember it being very competitive. There was such good players on the ladder, still are most definitely. And I didn't make it at that point, so I was like, all right, this, like, I played until the end time of that season, so I was like one win away, and I couldn't queue up again because season ended, and I was so mad about it. And I said, all right, next season I'm gonna do it a lot earlier, so I have more time to do it, and I'm not gonna rush it right on the last evening. And so I absolutely didn't do that. I didn't take my own advice.
Classic.
And the next season, I
exactly the same situation happened.
Very similar, but instead of doing it in the evening at home, I actually went earlier to university and was sitting like at university playing Gwent in the morning. I think the time where the season ended was also something like 10 a.m. or so. So at like 7 or so, I started jamming a few more games. I was like, I just need one more, and then I lost one, I won one, I lost one, I won one, and I just missed it by like one victory. And those two months in a row just broke my heart.
So close and yet so far away.
Yes.
I think everybody who played Gwent knows this feeling really well.
Yeah, for sure.
It's part of the fun, though.
It is. It's part of the game, and it what made me hunger for even more. It increased my appetite.
I can't believe it. It looks like we might not win this one.
Unless.
Okay.
Unless.
Scratch
he
that
just
one.
comes in.
Yeah.
That was close. I wonder what we have left for the final round here. That squirrel is not looking like many points, so yeah, he's gonna get rid of it. It's a very bronze-looking deck, if you may ask me. Let's see.
But at least the assault will give some nice boost.
Yeah. Could be worse.
Yeah.
Could always be worse.
I like the name of the opponent in this game, Bear in Despair.
Yeah. And they've got
Accomplished
a
drinker also, like this is
very nice
this is
setup.
my favorite
Yep.
title, and also I used to have this border with this mug of ale from the Mahakam event and closed beta for a really long time. I'm using a different one, but this one is like, forever in my heart.
So let's just say the opponent playing 3 cards in one turn, as many as Jean has in one turn, might be a problem.
Yeah,
Might be a problem.
will be the case here.
Let's see. Well, obviously, it's also very kind, by Jean to give the audience
Yeah,
the opportunity to witness both victories and
yeah.
losses.
Well,
If you're new to the game, this is how it looks like.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you're behind,
we need to give a little bit encouragement to
Yeah.
the players.
yeah. And I mean, the bear is in despair, and maybe this helps out.
Yeah, that's
a little
true.
bit.
Maybe he will, rename himself after this one.
Bear in
Happy-
slightly less despair.
Yeah, or just Happy Bear. Yeah.
Happy bear. We'll see. We've got another question, by the way, on favorite moments, but this time regarding the esports scene of Gwent. And
I was waiting for this.
there's a lot of those. There's a lot of good moments. And let me take a guess. Is the Fireball discarding cards to play around Kelly up there for you?
That's definitely one of the highlights. But the question is like exactly the kind of competitive place or just anything related to esports?
I think it just says, what is your favorite Gwent esports moment of all time?
Oh, okay.
By
So
Tankov.
this is easy. Like my favorite moment is when we lost the electricity in the studio.
Oh no.
That's my favorite one, because it was back in the day when we run opens here in this very studio where we're sitting now, and the way things are set up there is that there are kind of like separate circuits
Yep.
for stream and players' PCs and everything else, right? So including the lighting, including the air conditioning, whatever. So this is actually very smart, and this is a way to avoid exactly this situation. So we are in the middle of the event. I don't remember which 2 players were playing. Some veterans from closed beta times. They were sitting at the table playing against each other, and we have these lights everywhere, as always, during the event. And all of a sudden, boom, it just goes dark. So everything goes dark except their PCs, because it's a separate circuit. So they're playing offline build, which not affected by the internet. So it's all cool and everything. And we have this panic in the director's room, like what's going on? What just happened? Why the lights went off and all that? And players, I don't know if they noticed. They didn't indicate, in any way that they actually, paid attention that the light went out. They were, the tunnel vision from Life Coach and era. So that was kind of the same mode that these 2 players were playing in. So yeah, it was really cool to see it. So fortunately, no disruption was given. We restored the electricity, and to this day, I don't know if players noticed or not.
That's a good moment. That's a good moment. I think for me, besides just being able to meet people for the first time at the Gwent Challenger, that was actually done with an audience in the studio here. I was doing some behind the scenes
Interviews.
recording and interviews.
I remember that.
That was so much fun, just meeting people and seeing their passion for the game, and just chatting to the community members face to face. That's always what I love. But also, I think I lost the moment. I just had it.
You being on this event, interviewing, etc.
That was one of them.
Ah, okay. So there
But
was
the
another
other
one.
I'll come back to it eventually.
Okay,
I'll
sure.
come back to it eventually. Yeah, sometimes it just leaves your mind.
Yeah. Will return.
All right. There's a question by Art Vandelay, 1807. Why is Dagon the coolest character, and how much do you look forward to him finally coming back?
So why he's the coolest? Well, because he's a sea god, right?
And the sea is pretty cool.
Yeah. That's why. And the second one, am I looking forward to
How much
How much?
are you looking forward to him finally coming back? At least a 3.
I would say on a Dagon scale.
Yeah.
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 Like Dagonic scale of wanting him
Okay.
back into the game.
Dagon out of 10.
Yeah, Dagon out of 10, exactly. Do you know the fun fact that Dagon is being used as a kind of a placeholder whenever something breaks within the game and the proper card art can be displayed, you can still get Dagon in Gwent. So like technically it's there already. You just need to wait till something is broken, and
I think that's how
it never left, guys. That's the point.
I think that's how one of the PTR testers actually got debated, and they thought Dagon was coming back, and it was just card art being wrong or not working, so it was Dagon.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. Eventually, potentially, we'll find out.
In its due time, yeah, like a wizard, it's never late, always arrives precisely on time.
Yeah. Do you have any favorite archetypes? They can be also from the past or current.
Yes.
Yeah.
From the past, it's definitely Nilfgaard Reveal. Like, it's sad that we no longer have it in modern and post-homecoming Gwent. I actually I spoke with the design team. I was kind of nudging
pushing
them.
for it,
yeah, like, well, what about Reveal, guys? What do you think? Like, maybe we should let us see what the opponent is playing. Right? It was fun. But no, we don't have plans to bring the old reveal back. But it was fun back in the day. I really enjoyed all the wacky interactions this deck was providing. It was kind of also a nice bonus to know what cards your opponent have, so you can kind of expect certain moves and maybe play around them. That was my favorite jam from the beta times. In, let's say, the modern era of Gwent, Nilfgaard is still my favorite faction, but somehow I was recently sharing it with someone on the anniversary event that we had, that both times I was able to reach pro rank, both times I didn't do it with Nilfgaard, despite also having tons of opponents playing Nilfgaard, because I think it's not a secret. It's probably the most popular faction we have, or at least like in a solid top. And yeah, both times for me it was either vampires, no connection to my name though, and last time it was pirates.
Ooh, I do love myself some pirates.
I like tribals, right? And I like when you have this like very strong theme within the deck, so it's like you feel that you're like very lore friendly. Also, you're commanding vampires, or you're just commanding pirates, and you're having cards which are synergizing with each other nicely in this regard. And I last time I was able to reach pro rank last season. It was super fun to play against all these Ren free players, destroying them occasionally with pirates. So that was a special kind of fun.
Yeah, I think pirates back in the day, especially the great sword and the ship. You play a great sword, you play a ship. You play a great sword, you play a ship.
Back in the day, I wasn't that much fan of this deck, but current iteration of pirates is very wholesome. Like, it's damage, armor, and
wholesome,
it's
wholesome pirates. No, I enjoyed the OG pirates as well, and in general the whole Skellige shenanigans of rezzing and
raising dead,
and rezzing more. And I know it was completely stupid and a very crazy time in Gwent, but when we still had silver spies, and especially Skellige could create so many of those, where it was just your opponent and you back and forth creating silver spies. For like a week or so, I enjoyed it so much because it was so wacky and crazy, but obviously I'm happy that it left the game, but still it was crazy time, especially because I really miss playing Heim and the cards connected to it. I feel like the art is so cool, and like Ulfheden and those Skellige arts are just.
I mean, maybe these cards actually will see the light of day again. I mean, they kind of went out of fashion and out of meta for a while, but
eventually maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. Also, I did really enjoy jamming those mechas back in the day. them just growing and growing inside
Yeah.
of your deck, and then you eat one and another one pops out with like 5 extra points. I was like, that's a lot of fun. Until you play against that one opponent that runs Swears and then just deletes all the deckers in your deck. I remember that was also one of my favorite moments at Esports as well, was like when Colemon was playing Neckers and I can't remember who it was, played against him and deleted
just
them.
Forfeited immediately.
Yeah, and he just forfeited.
Yeah.
See ya.
I have a feeling it might be Super JG, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it was.
Good stuff.
Good stuff indeed. And here, in the background, we've actually got a very nice monster mirror. The Wild Hunt versus the Overwhelming Hunger. And Jean has acquired a decent amount of points here. And he's up a card in round 3.
Yeah. It's scenario is still in hand, so
yeah. Even gold cards left
looks
to draw
promising.
into. It does. Some more bronzes. Oh, some more.
One also thing, there was this question previously about Rose and Gwent, and I'm just looking at the screen. How changed our philosophy also when it comes to the overall setting, look and feel when it comes to the boards, right? Right now we're looking at the battlefield. It's no longer kind of a tavern feeling that you're having like this colorful kind of a play mat or like I don't know, kind of a
game board.
Like the something that you could put on a table and play with these miniature cards. Right now, sure, there are still cards, but they're much more looking like your units or monsters that you're commanding, and also the leaders are standing on the battlefield like a proper generals sending their troops into battle. So this is actually cool, because I remember when I discovered Gwent for the first time, I immediately thought that, well, this card game is so different from other card games I know. It's much more closer to war games, right? It's like the positioning matters. You have this the concept of actually units, and it's really tactical in nature. So it's less about just accumulate brute force and just attack your opponents every turn, aggro style and all that. So definitely, well, to each of their own, right? But for me, this new style and art style of Gwent when it comes to cosmetics also, and general look and feel is more suiting for such a strategic game as it is.
Yeah, I agree. Do you have a favorite leader skin?
Favorite leader?
For me, it depends on the faction, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't think I have like one leader skin I'm using always. Like in Skellige, I usually run with the Skellige leaders, and monsters. It's depending on. Also, I can play with Eredin and White Frost. But if I'm playing something else, I can play someone else as well. So no, I don't think I have like one go-to leader I'm jamming. Although back in the day before we disconnected leader models from abilities, I think Morbrand was my default one in Nilfgaard.
What about the time we had the extra Nilfgaard leader? Was it Remedy?
Yes.
Remedy?
That's a good meme.
Just for a few days.
Hey, I don't know how many people in chat actually knows what you're talking about, but I'm sure there are quite a few.
There's going to be some. Yeah. I think for me, if I play Northern Realms, I go to the Radovid Afrika skin. When it's Squire Tell time, it's usually either Francesca in a very nice dress or Dana, especially the pink version. When I play probably anything else, I think it's either going to be what's it called? Gauntoridym. I think he's
Good
really
choice.
cool, just hovering above the board. And the other one that's really cool is Shoop. And I think speaking of Shoop, we actually have a little gift for our viewers out there, especially the ones that are, not just letting us run in the background,
Yeah.
but are actively watching. Because during our last party on Saturday, we created some gift bags, and I noticed that there was something left over. So we actually have these very nice Shoop leader skin cards here for you. So if you're interested in getting the skin in Gwent, then you should probably be ready to copy and screenshot and copy whatever you're going to see in like a few seconds on screen, because on the back side here is actually, I think the camera can see it, a nice code. I'll hold it to you. No, but probably the focus point is probably somewhere here. So maybe the CSI enhanced strategy works, and you'll see the code here. If not, then I'll post it
Imagine watching
afterwards.
it on the phone, huh?
Yeah. So yeah, if you caught that code, you might be able to grab, if you're fast, a Shoop leader skin, and we've got another one waiting for you at the end of the stream.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask,
Unless
should I
you
do
wanna-
it now or
well,
okay.
I think we can. I think we
Sure.
can play one more game and then we'll show it. How about that? I
Sounds good.
think Jean has a
New deck or deck
50%
with changes.
win rate right now. All things are imbalanced.
Yeah, something like that.
Unless I missed something, so we'll see what he comes up with for the next game, and
You know which character, which skin is also quite great, and it's not just a casual advertisement of the Auser journey being back in the shop, but Auser in terms of
Yes.
his voiceovers is
Yes.
one of the, I think, the most edgy characters that we have in Gwent. So all this bloody annoying and all this this kind of statements that
they already have the Rarok avatar. So we've got a viewer who decided to Q snipe our game designer. So let's see how this game turns out.
all right,
Very nice.
only fair play, Mr. Firefly 10.
Yeah. Oh, but they're rocking the nice cosmetics from the different journeys. Actually, a man or a woman or something in between of balancing out Triss and Yen with the card back and the skin.
Yep.
Very nice, very nice. Let's see what they're playing though, because that's gonna be crucial for Jean to figure out here. But yeah, you're right. I think Alzo is one of the funniest characters, just with his voice lines. And
I do hope that after the release of Rogue Mage, which was our latest single player expansion, also part of the 20th anniversary sale.
Right.
The deluxe edition is discounted right now, so if you were hesitating before, this is your chance to grab.
You also get a bonus, right? If you own it.
Yes, for all owners, current and future ones, until the sale goes, of deluxe edition specifically, 500 metered powder is what you can grab for free in Gwent. So this is our just thank you gift to celebrate with you, and thank you for your support of Rogue Mage. And I was going to say that I do hope that now more people, thanks to Rogue Mage, are actually exposed to Auser as a character, know him better.
Yep.
I have a feeling when we initially introduced Auser, only lore freaks and like Witcher enthusiasts knew exactly who it is.
Yeah.
And hopefully right now we kind of raised his visibility a little bit more in the community, and it will make him more appreciated, because he totally deserves it.
That's true. Yeah, he's a very cool character.
Oh, tunnel drill.
The good old drill is back. Just waiting in the back,
Yeah.
Just waiting. Well, let's see. I think the setup here is quite nice. I also like the coin they're rocking. One
It's
of the
from
Yennefer,
Yennefer
journey.
Journey.
Awesome stuff. There's one question from Dreamboy. Do you have a favorite card art in Gwent?
Favorite card art.
There's so many good ones to choose from.
Yeah, it's it is a difficult choice indeed. Well, I guess it would be Wilgefortz, the original one. It's I know it's probably very popular choice as well, but the moment depicted on it, the premium version of it, the sound, just
oh my
like
God.
absolutely bizarre. Yeah, it's a very cool one.
The sound is amazing. the sound is amazing.
What about you, Ren?
I think a premium version would probably be Heim. I just feel like not Heim, I mean Ophidan, because the moment when he just
goes through,
crashes
breaks the ice.
The person through the ice, it's just also sound-wise so incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like those Skellige cards, especially their art. But I must say, like with every expansion, I feel like the artists are just creating more and more beautiful card art. Like for example, Renfrey, I think looks so cool. Such a cool card. Oneiromancy has a really cool premium as well, which is floating through the spheres and everything. So yeah, there's too much to choose from.
It's true. It's true.
Definitely. Question about Rogue Mage. Are there any plans to add more bosses and cards to the single-player Gwent expansion?
Oh, so like cards from Rogue Mage to be introduced to Gwent multiplayer? Or?
I think we had, there was a question like that earlier as well, if we are planning to add more cards from Rogue Mage into our multiplayer Gwent.
Okay.
Let's answer that first.
So yeah, this one potentially yes. As always, the challenge of adding these cards which are prepared for something else. We had this also pool of cards in Thronebreaker, which is still not all of them were used in Gwent, and we sometimes gradually adding them, but still, like after all these years, we didn't release all of them. So it depends on a few factors. One is like how relevant they are for the theme that we're going with. So for example, if we're going with the Black Sun related expansion, do we have anything which fits the theme so it's not a huge stretch from the lore and flavor perspective as well? And the second one is if the card doesn't have a premium version, like what would it take to create one? Because whenever we are normally working on the cards in Gwent, the static 2D versions of the illustrations are already created with kind of the possibility of creating premium in mind, which makes it more complicated process. It's a longer process in general. And if we want to cut corners like we did with tokens, for example, in the whole Gwent history, then we don't care about the premium variations. It would be just a simpler task for artists that can be done faster. So that's also the answer. I don't know if there was a question about it or not, but that's also the question, like what takes so long with premiumification of tokens? Well, it can be done out of the box, unfortunately. So I wish we had more time to spend on this topic, but like as long as we are adding new cards and taking care of other crucial parts of the game, that always will be the priority of premiumification of tokens will be lower. Going back to this question about, from what I understand, it was about adding more content to the single player, right? To Rogue Mage. It is possible. Like we said it from the very beginning that we considering going back to this release and see what's needed there, not only in terms of bug fixes but also in terms of new content, if that would make sense, if the game would be popular enough and would be received well enough. For now, it's still too early to say that we already have a clear understanding if we want to go this route or not, and definitely we don't have any timeline to share there, like when it might happen, if it will happen.
Yeah, we'll see what the future brings, but I think I'm very happy by the reception of specifically Gwent players as well, enjoying the game and having an alternative once they're stressed out from ladder, for example, or if they just don't want to have the pressure of actually playing for let's say, spot on the ladder. So it's
maybe
a nice change of pace.
One thing I think I mentioned before on one of the tweaks we did with Buja, just to clarify that we don't really see Rogue Mage as a kind of live game that will receive or supposed to receive regular updates in the same fashion as Gwent. So definitely like adding this micro updates which are just adding card here or a boss there is not something feasible, but if we're talking about a bigger update which is really justified from all sides of things, and it's really like we feel it's a really good idea, then sure, we would love to get back to this to this title and see what's possible there.
A very good question, one that I can get behind as well by Rikov here is, can, and I would add when, because I really want it in the game, when can we expect a skin of Geralt in the bathtub?
Oh, that would be a cool one, right?
I agree. And imagine him just laying back, commanding people when it's your turn out of the bathtub, and then going back again, I can see it.
Yeah, well, I don't know, like maybe it's, instead of being a skin, maybe it should be just part of the game board. Like the recent example is like, remember this game board that we released for Halloween, where it was like this hut of the crones, where it was brewers, brewing right in the corner. Or we also have this board with the manticore on it. So sometimes we do have like this very sophisticated 3D models with animations on the board. So maybe, like we should have this, it was actually Kaer Morhen, right? Like where he was lying in the bathtub in the beginning of The Witcher 3. So, well, thanks for the idea.
That's a great idea. That is a great idea. I think, I can get behind that. I mean, leader would be fun as well, but I think just having the presence of them there. Then again, though, what happens if you then play with Geralt as a leader skin? Then there's 2 Geralts, or even 3 if the opponent plays it. I guess it's kind of like the fun of Gwent, right? You can be a bit wacky and have some fun with it.
True. Well, I can share that we have a very unorthodox idea for the leader, which hopefully we will be able to implement and release this year. But I won't be spilling any more beans, just saying that if we'll pull it through, you will notice that it's very unusual.
That's very intriguing, very intriguing. And now I'm also interested to see where we end up on
in this match.
Currently 2 points ahead. And Jean is shaking his head.
Is there anything that the opponent can play which will not cost at least 2 points? That's the question.
Well, there it is. He's just too kind. He's just too kind to the community, gifting, maybe not gifting prime subs, but gifting wins to the opponents.
Right.
Good guy, Jean. Yeah, I think
maybe, what another possible explanation here is that maybe we were stream sniped in this match, and that's kind of why it went this way.
Potentially,
right. Yeah. Mr. Firefly, watching us, you should be ashamed of yourself. If you're not watching us, well, GG, well played.
Yeah, and in general, thanks for playing, obviously.
And thanks for watching the stream.
Thanks for watching the stream. Thanks for playing Jean as well. You did a great job. So I think you can treat our community with another code if you want.
All right, if I can, are you prepared for this? I'm going to slowly rotate it and observe.
I wonder if they can see it. Because if not, we're going to look pretty funny here. But I think it's possible. Enhance. Maybe if it's like 1 or 2 things you can't see, then it's just a guessing game. And everyone can join.
Yeah. You know at least how many symbols there are, right? So like in a couple of thousand of years, you will be able to crack this code.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I think we're slowly gonna move this stream to its end. It was a great time chatting with you about Gwent and its history. And
always a pleasure.
Moments. Thank you all for suggesting questions in the chat, and to our moderators of keeping the chat clean and sending us those questions. A little spoiler, the next stream will actually be on Thronebreaker, so there will be more Gwent for everyone to enjoy, which is really cool. I think we're going to have a very nice setup here as well. I think it's going to be probably going to be Burja sitting here together with a designer. I'm not exactly sure on the guest yet, but you can be sure that it's a very, very nice person, because everyone that worked on that game is very, very cool and very nice, and I'm jealous because it's an awesome game. Anyways, thank you so much for taking the time and joining me.
Thank you. I'm always glad to be in the studio, especially being in this seat and being able to talk about my favorite game. So thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, and thank you all for watching. Thank you all for playing, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.